I packed my entire life into 2 duffel bags, while my wife smiled at her phone across the breakfast table. Marissa didn't notice. She never did anymore. Her thumb moved across the screen in small, practiced circles, and whatever she saw there made the corners of her mouth twitch upward. Not a real smile, just muscle memory from weeks of private conversations I wasn't part of. "Coffee's getting cold," I said. "Hmm?" She didn't look up. I watched her for 3 more seconds, counted them. Then I stood and poured my cup down the sink. The drain swallowed it without comment, which felt appropriate. "I'm Silas Rowan, 39 years old. I supervise facilities operations at Regional Medical Complex West. That means I make sure the lights stay on, the HVAC doesn't fail during winter, and the backup generators actually work when someone needs them. Boring work. Invisible work. The kind of job where success means nobody notices you exist." Marissa works in corporate communications. She manages brand perception for a tech consulting firm downtown. She's good at it. Better than good. She can make a data breach sound like a growth opportunity, turn a lawsuit into a learning experience, convince investors that quarterly losses are strategic repositioning. She used those same skills on me for 3 months before I figured it out. Small things at first. Her phone started living face down on every surface. She began taking calls in the garage, voice low and urgent through the door. Weekend errands stretched into 4-hour absences, with vague explanations about traffic and long lines at stores that don't have lines. Then the scheduling conflicts appeared. "Can't do dinner Friday. Client thing. Saturday's out. Spa day with Michelle. Sunday. God, Silas, I need 1 day to decompress." I stopped asking. Easier that way. I focused on my work, fixed things that were broken, kept systems running. I'm good at maintenance. Good at noticing when something's failing before it collapses entirely. Our marriage was failing. I noticed. But I wanted to believe I was wrong, that I was imagining patterns that didn't exist, that the distance between us was temporary and fixable. Then came the party. Marissa's younger brother was turning 30. Big celebration at their parents' house. Catered food, open bar, the whole extended family flying in from 3 states. She mentioned it exactly once 2 weeks out. "Tyler's party is the 18th, she said, scrolling through her calendar app. "I'll probably stay late, so don't wait up." I nodded, waited 3 days, then asked the question that changed everything. "What time should I be ready?" She looked up from her laptop, confused, actually confused. "For what?" "Tyler's party." Something crossed her face. Not guilt, not embarrassment, just calculation, like she was running numbers in her head, deciding which version of the truth would cost her the least. "Oh," she said. "Silas, I don't think that's a good idea." I set down my water glass very carefully. "Why not?" "It's just, you know how my family is." "I've known them for 8 years. "Exactly." She closed her laptop, folded her hands on top of it, used her professional voice, calm, reasonable, final. "They still talk about my ex. Compare him to, well, to you. I don't want things to be awkward." I stared at her. "They think I'm lesser," I said. Not a question. Statement of fact. "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." She sighed, heavily, like I was being difficult, making her explain something obvious to a slow child. "Look, this is important to Tyler. I don't want family drama ruining his night. You understand, right?" I understood perfectly. "Sure," I said. Understood. I stood, walked to the bedroom, closed the door. Then I started packing. 2 duffel bags. That's all I needed. Clothes, toiletries, important documents from the file cabinet she never opened, my grandfather's watch, the utility knife I carried for work, 3 phone chargers, my laptop. I moved through the house like I was conducting an inventory. Methodical, efficient, no wasted motion. In the garage, I loaded both bags into my truck, checked the fuel gauge, 3/4 full. Plenty. I went back inside. Marissa was in the shower. I could hear water running, hear her humming something tuneless and distracted. I walked through every room one final time. Living room, furniture we'd picked out together back when we meant something. Kitchen, the expensive espresso machine she'd insisted on, used maybe twice. Bedroom, the California king she'd wanted, the one with too much empty space between us every night. Nothing here was mine. Everything here was a lie I'd been maintaining. I left my house key on the kitchen counter, closed the front door quietly, drove away while my wife shampooed her hair and prepared for a party I wasn't invited to. My phone rang 40 minutes later. I was parked outside a budget motel off Route 9, staring at a vacancy sign that buzzed and flickered in the early dusk. The number on my screen said, Helen Rowan, Marissa's mother. I answered. Silas? Helen's voice was tight with confusion. Where are you? Motel. Why? Ask your daughter. Silence. Long enough that I checked to see if the call had dropped. Silas, I don't understand. Marissa's here. She said you couldn't make it because of work. Of course she did. That's not accurate, I said. Then what's going on? I looked at the motel. Single story, peeling paint. A sign advertising free cable and continental breakfast. The kind of place you ended up when your life fractured cleanly in half. Helen, I appreciate you calling, but this conversation needs to happen between me and Marissa. Tell her I'll be in touch. Silas. I ended the call, turned off my phone. Then I checked into room 12 and lay on top of the bedspread, staring at water stains on the ceiling, thinking about the precise way my wife's face had looked when she calculated whether I was worth the social inconvenience of defending. I didn't move for 3 hours. When I finally turned my phone back on, 17 missed calls, 12 from Marissa, 5 from Helen, 0 from Tyler the birthday boy, 0 from Marissa's father, 0 from anyone else in her family. The math was clear. I was an embarrassment she'd been managing. A problem she'd decided to solve by erasing me from the narrative entirely. I wondered how long she'd been planning it. Weeks? Months? I wondered if her family had been asking about me, or if they'd stopped noticing I existed long before she did. I wondered if this was what it felt like to disappear while still breathing. My phone buzzed. Text from Marissa. Where are you? My mom is freaking out. This is ridiculous. Come home so we can talk like adults. I read it 3 times. Then I typed, No. Her response came instantly. Call me. I didn't. I turned off the phone again, closed my eyes. Let the silence fill the room. Tomorrow I'd figure out what came next. Tonight, I just needed to exist in the space where I'd finally stopped pretending. My sister Dana picked me up at 6 in the morning. I'd sent her a single text at 5:47 a.m. Can I stay with you for a few days? Her response came in 41 seconds. Address? No questions. No judgment. Just the practical logic I'd always appreciated about Dana. She was 4 years older, an accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown, divorced 7 years back, lived alone in a townhouse with too many plants and a cat named Audit. She pulled up in her Subaru, took one look at my duffel bags, and popped the trunk without a word. We drove in silence for 20 minutes. Then she said, Marissa? Yeah. Okay. That was it. No follow-up. No demands for details. Dana understood that some things needed time before they could be spoken out loud. Her townhouse smelled like coffee and the lavender air freshener she bought in bulk. She pointed me toward the guest room, told me the Wi-Fi password, and left for work by 7:30. I sat on the guest bed and turned on my phone. 43 missed calls, 29 texts, all from Marissa. I scrolled through them, watched the tone shift from confused to angry to desperate to coldly controlled. 6:47 p.m. Silas, seriously, where are you? 7:23 p.m. You're being childish. 8:14 p.m. Fine, stay gone, but you're making this worse. 9:50 p.m. My mother thinks something terrible happened to you. 11:38 p.m. We need to discuss this rationally. 1:12 a.m. I know you're reading these. 3:47 a.m. Please just come home. I deleted them all without responding. Then I opened my email and started looking for divorce attorneys. By noon, I'd contacted 3. By 2 p.m., I had consultations scheduled with all of them. I spent the rest of the day doing something I should have done months ago. I made a list. Every inconsistency, every gap in her story, every time she'd rearranged her schedule or changed plans or disappeared for hours with explanations that didn't quite connect. The list filled 4 pages. I stared at it for a long time. Then I drove back to the house. Marissa's car was gone. I'd been counting on that. She had a standing Thursday meeting with her executive team that ran from 3 to 5. She'd never missed it, not once in 3 years. I used my garage door opener, parked inside. The house felt different already, colder, like it knew I didn't belong here anymore. I had 17 minutes before I needed to leave to avoid any chance of running into her. I moved fast. Her office first. The desk she kept meticulously organized, everything labeled and filed and color-coded. I opened the top drawer, found what I was looking for immediately. A second garage door opener. Same brand as ours, different code label. I stared at it, felt something cold and solid settle in my chest. I checked the filing cabinet. Found credit card statements she'd been handling separately. A folder marked Personal 2024. I photographed every page with my phone. Restaurant receipts, hotel bookings, charges I didn't recognize from stores I'd never been to. I moved through the house like a crime scene investigator, methodical, thorough. No emotional reactions, just data collection. In the kitchen junk drawer, I found a business card. Logan Pike, commercial real estate development, handwritten on the back. Call me anytime. I photographed it. In the laundry room, I found a men's jacket. Not mine. Wrong size, wrong brand, wrong everything. I left it where it was. In the bathroom trash, underneath crumpled tissues and an empty shampoo bottle, I found a receipt from a pharmacy 2 towns over. Date stamped 3 weeks ago. Time, 2:47 p.m. Same afternoon, Marissa told me she was working late on a presentation. I photographed it. Then I checked the time. 14 minutes gone. I went to our bedroom, opened her nightstand drawer. Inside, a small notebook. Purple cover, spiral bound. I opened it. Dates, times, initials, LP, appearing 17 times across 6 weeks. Some entries had locations. Riverside Hotel, 210. His place. My car, parking garage level 3. I felt nothing. That was the strangest part. I stood there holding evidence of my wife's careful documentation of her affair, and I felt absolutely nothing. Just cold. Just certain. I photographed every page, put the notebook back exactly how I'd found it. Then I left. Drove back to Dana's place with 4 minutes to spare before Marissa would have arrived home. My phone started ringing as I pulled into Dana's driveway. Marissa. Again. This time I answered. "Where have you been?" Her voice was sharp, accusing, like I'd inconvenienced her by existing outside her control. "Around," I said. "We need to talk." "Do we?" "Silas, this is getting absurd. Whatever you think is happening." "I don't think anything," I said. "I know exactly what's happening." Silence. Then, "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm done pretending." "Pretending what?" "That you respect me, that this marriage is real, that I'm anything other than an inconvenience you've been trying to phase out." Another silence. Longer this time. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Softer, practiced, the tone she used on difficult clients. "Silas, I think we both need some space to cool down. You're clearly upset about the party thing, and I get that. It was insensitive. But running away isn't the answer." I'm not running, I said. I'm standing still for the first time in months. You're the one who's been moving. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Silas? I'll be in touch, I said, and ended the call. I sat in the car for a long time after that, thinking about the notebook, the receipts, the second garage opener, thinking about Logan Pike. I pulled up his business page on my phone. Commercial real estate developer, mid-size operation, 3 properties currently listed, professional headshot, showing a man in his early 40s, square jaw, confident smile, expensive suit. I studied his face, tried to understand what she saw there that she couldn't find in mine. Then I noticed something. One of his development properties was 6 blocks from the medical complex where I worked, a mixed-use building, retail on the ground floor, offices above, currently under renovation. I'd driven past it 100 times. The pieces started connecting in my head, slowly, methodically. Behind me, Dana's front door opened. She walked out carrying 2 coffee mugs, handed me one through the car window. You planning to sleep out here? She asked. No, I said. Just thinking. About? How blind I've been. She nodded. Sipped her coffee. Didn't push. You know who she's with? Dana asked after a while. Yeah. You know what you're going to do? I looked at Logan Pike's smiling face on my phone screen. Not yet, I said, but I'm figuring it out. Dana studied me for a long moment. Then she said, Be careful, Silas. Whatever you're thinking, be smart about it. Always am, I said, but we both knew that wasn't entirely true. I saw Caleb Moore 3 days later, purely by chance. He was my neighbor back at the house. Well, technically still my house, though I hadn't been back since the evidence-gathering run. Caleb was 45, volunteer firefighter, worked construction during the day, lived in the blue split-level 2 doors down. I was at a gas station off Route 9 when I spotted him fueling up a white pickup truck. He saw me, waved, walked over. Silas, haven't seen you around lately. Been staying with my sister, I said. Everything okay? I shrugged. Depends on how you define okay. Caleb nodded slowly. He had that particular way of looking at people that came from years of showing up to emergencies, seeing through the polite lies people told when things were falling apart. Marissa mentioned you were traveling for work, he said. I felt something shift in my chest. Did she? Yeah, couple days ago. I saw her loading groceries, asked where you were. She said you had some big project out of state. I looked at him. Caleb wasn't the type to gossip. Whatever he was saying because it mattered. When did she tell you that? I asked. Tuesday evening, around 6. Tuesday was the day I'd taken my things and left. The day she'd gone to her brother's party and told her family I couldn't make it because of work. The story was already spreading, already replacing reality with a version she could control. Silas, Caleb said carefully, that guy she's been seeing. You know about him? Everything stopped. The gas pump, the traffic noise, the world. What guy? I said quietly. Caleb's expression shifted, uncomfortable now, realizing he'd stepped into something deeper than he'd intended. The real estate guy, drives a black Audi, been coming around for a couple months. I thought you knew. I kept my voice level. You see him there a lot? Maybe once a week. Sometimes he stays late, sometimes his car's there in the morning. I nodded, casual, like he'd just told me about a package delivery. Yeah, I said, I know about him. Caleb's relief was visible. Okay, good. I wasn't sure if I should say anything, but you did the right thing, I said. We talked for another minute about nothing important. Weather, road construction, normal things that normal people discussed when their lives weren't quietly imploding. Then I drove back to Dana's townhouse and sat in my truck for 30 minutes processing. Logan Pike had been inside my house, sleeping in my bed, eating meals at my table, while Marissa told neighbors I was traveling. I pulled out my phone, opened the photos I'd taken from her office, found the credit card statements, cross-referenced dates with my work calendar. The pattern emerged like a blueprint. Every time I worked a late shift at the medical complex, Logan's car had been at my house. Every overnight I'd pulled for emergency generator maintenance. There were restaurant charges on her card from places in his neighborhood. Every weekend I'd spent at a work conference. There were hotel bookings under her name in cities where he had development projects. She'd been running our affair like a project schedule. Organized, efficient, no wasted time. I wondered if she kept status reports. I started my truck, drove toward the medical complex. Logan's development property was 6 blocks east. I parked across the street and watched. The building was half finished. Ground floor retail spaces still gutted, upper floors showing exposed framing through window gaps, construction crew wrapping up for the day, loading tools into trucks. At 5:47 p.m., a black Audi pulled into the small lot behind the building. Logan Pike got out. I recognized him from his website photo, but reality was different. Taller than I'd expected, expensive watch catching the late sun, phone pressed to his ear, laughing at something the person on the other end said. He looked successful, confident, the kind of man who'd never spent 17 years fixing broken boilers and replacing failed electrical panels. The kind of man Marissa's family would approve of. I watched him enter the building through a side door. Sat there for 20 minutes, thinking about next steps. Then I got out of my truck and walked across the street. The construction site was supposed to be locked after hours, but the chain-link gate was open. No security guard, just warning signs and orange caution tape. I stepped through, walked around to the side entrance Logan had used. The door was propped open with a wooden wedge. Inside, I could hear voices. 2 men talking, sound echoing off bare concrete. I stepped inside. The space was raw, exposed ductwork overhead, temporary lights hanging from scaffolding, smell of fresh drywall compound and sawdust. Logan was 20 feet away, talking to a contractor in a hard hat. He glanced over, saw me. "Help you?" he called out. I walked closer. "Looking for the site manager," I said. "That'd be me, Logan Pike." He extended his hand. I shook it. His grip was firm, practiced. "Silas Rowan," I said. Nothing. No recognition. No change in his expression. He didn't know who I was. Marissa had never mentioned me. "What can I do for you, Silas?" Logan asked. I looked around the space, noted the structural work, the half-installed HVAC units, the electrical conduit running along the walls. "I work facilities at the medical complex up the street," I said. "Heard you were renovating. Thought you might need a consultant for mechanical systems." Logan's interest sharpened. "You do commercial work?" 15 years, I lied. Specializing in emergency systems, generators, backup HVAC, that kind of thing. Huh. He glanced at the contractor. "We've been having issues with the generator install. Specs aren't matching up with the utility requirements." "Common problem," I said. "Usually it's the load calculations. Most developers underestimate peak demand." Logan smiled. "Most developers are trash, but my company is the exception." "Obviously," I said. He laughed, pulled out his phone. "Give me your number. I'll call you next week. Set up a meeting." I recited the number, watched him save it. "Appreciate it," Logan said. "Always good to work with someone who knows their stuff." "Likewise," I said. We shook hands again. I walked back to my truck, got in, drove away. In my rearview mirror, I watched Logan return to his conversation with the contractor, already forgetting I existed. But I wouldn't forget him. Not now. Not when I'd just shaken the hand that had been touching my wife. Logan called me 6 days later. I was at Dana's place, reviewing divorce attorney notes, when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. "Silas, Logan Pike, from the development site." "Right," I said. "How's the generator situation?" "Still a mess. You got time to come look at it?" "When?" "Today, around 2?" I checked my watch. It was 11:30. "I'll be there," I said. "Perfect. Oh, and bring whatever documentation you need for consulting fees. I want to do this properly." "Understood." I hung up, stared at my phone for a long time. Then I called in sick to work, pulled on clean clothes, and drove to Logan's development site. He was waiting outside when I arrived, hard hat under one arm, tablet in the other. "Thanks for coming on short notice," he said. "Generators in the basement. Follow me." We went inside, down concrete stairs, into a space that smelled like damp earth and fresh concrete. The generator sat against the far wall. Commercial-grade unit. Expensive. Incorrectly installed. I spent 20 minutes examining the connections, checking the fuel lines, reviewing the electrical panel specs. "Your contractor mounted it wrong," I said finally. "Vibration dampeners are missing, exhaust routing violates code, and your fuel capacity won't support more than 6 hours of runtime." Logan swore quietly. "How much to fix it?" I gave him a number. Reasonable, professional. He nodded. "Do it. I'll need to coordinate with your contractor." "I'll handle that. Just tell me what you need." We spent another hour going through details. Technical discussions about load requirements, failover systems, utility interconnections. Logan was sharp, asked good questions, understood the implications. At some point he relaxed, started talking like we were colleagues, not strangers. "You know what I hate about this business?" he said. "Everyone cuts corners. Everyone thinks they can skip steps, save money, hope nobody notices. Then something fails and it's a lawsuit." "Shortcuts always cost more in the long run," I said. "Exactly." He leaned against the generator housing. "So where'd you work before the medical complex?" I'd prepared this answer. "Municipal facilities. 10 years. Government work pays nothing, but the experience is solid." "I bet. All those union rules and oversight requirements." "Teaches you to do things right the first time," I said. Logan studied me. "You married Silas?" The question landed like a punch. "Separated," I said. "Sorry to hear that." "Don't be. It was overdue." He nodded. "I'm divorced. 3 years now. Best decision I ever made." "What happened?" I asked. "She wanted someone different. I wanted someone loyal. Turns out those two things don't always overlap." I felt something dark and cold move through me. "Must have been hard," I said. "For a while. Then I realized she'd done me a favor. Now I'm free. No obligations, no expectations. I do what I want, see who I want, answer to nobody." "Sounds ideal," I said. "It is." He checked his watch. "Hey, you want to grab lunch? There's a decent place 2 blocks over. My treat." I should have said no. Should have invented an excuse and left. But I didn't. "Sure," I said. We walked to a sandwich shop, sat at a table by the window, ordered food that tasted like cardboard and coffee that tasted like burnt rubber. Logan talked about his business, his plans, his philosophy on relationships and work-life balance, and the importance of knowing your worth. I listened, asked questions, played the role of interested acquaintance, and the whole time I imagined his hands on Marissa, imagined him lying in my bed, imagined him laughing with her about the husband who was too boring to notice. "You ever think about getting back out there?" Logan asked. "Dating scene's not bad these days. Apps make it easy." "I'm taking my time," I said. "Smart. Don't rush it. But don't wait too long either. Life's short, you know?" "I'm aware," I said. We finished lunch, walked back to the development site, shook hands. "I'll send over the contract details tomorrow," Logan said. "Looking forward to working with you." "Same," I said. I drove away. Made it 3 blocks before I had to pull over. Sat there with my hands shaking on the steering wheel, breathing hard, trying to process what I'd just done. I'd sat across from my wife's lover and made small talk, smiled at his jokes, pretended to be his professional contact, and he'd had no idea who I was. My phone buzzed. Text from Marissa. Can we please talk? This silence is childish. I stared at the message. Thought about Logan's confident smile and easy charm. Thought about Marissa's careful planning and calculated lies. Thought about the notebook full of dates and initials. Then I opened a new message, sent it to Logan. Thanks for lunch. Generator specs attached. Let me know if you have questions. His response came immediately. Perfect. You're a lifesaver, man. I put my phone away, started the truck, drove back to Dana's place with a plan forming in my head, a plan that would hurt both of them in ways they'd never expect. Because I'd learned something important today. Logan Pike thought he was untouchable. Marissa thought she was in control, and neither of them saw me coming. 3 weeks later, I was standing outside Logan's development site at 6:47 in the morning when the building inspector arrived. I'd spent those weeks working, quietly, methodically. The generator project gave me access, legitimate reasons to be on site, opportunities to document every code violation, every shortcut, every corner Logan's contractors had cut. I'd found 17 violations, major ones, structural support inadequate for the planned office loads, fire suppression system improperly zoned, electrical panels exceeding rated capacity, emergency exits blocked by construction materials, HVAC units installed without proper ventilation clearances. Any one of them could shut down the project. All 17 together could bury it. I documented everything, photographs, measurements, detailed notes cross-referenced with building codes. Then I'd sent them anonymously to the county building department. The inspector was thorough. Spent 4 hours going through the site with a clipboard and a measuring tape. I watched from my truck across the street. At 11:23 a.m., Logan arrived, saw the inspector. His body language changed immediately. Tense, defensive. They talked for 12 minutes. I saw Logan's face go from confused to angry to pale. The inspector handed him a document. Logan read it, then read it again. Red tag notice. Construction halted pending remediation of violations. Logan made 3 phone calls in rapid succession, voice raised enough that I could see him gesturing angrily even from across the street. Then he got in his Audi and drove away fast. I waited 10 minutes, then I called him. Logan, Silas Rowan, just checking on the timeline for... The project fell through, he interrupted. The building inspector has blacklisted us. 17 violations. They say my contractor intentionally ignored building codes. Jesus, I said. That's serious. Serious? It's a catastrophe. I've got investors breathing down my neck, tenants threatening to walk, and a contractor who's suddenly not answering his phone. What are you going to do? Fix it. Somehow. But it's going to cost a fortune and delay everything by months. I'm sorry, man. That's rough. Yeah, well, appreciate the sympathy, but I've got to figure this out. He ended the call. I sat in my truck, feeling nothing. That was phase 1. Phase 2 started that evening. I drove to the house. My house. The one I still legally owned half of. Marissa's car was in the driveway, lights on inside. I used my key, walked in through the front door. She was in the kitchen, looked up when she heard me. Her expression went through several emotions very quickly. Surprise, relief, anger, calculation. Silas, finally. We need to talk, I said. I've been saying that for 3 weeks. I know. She set down her wine glass, crossed her arms, waiting. I pulled out my phone. Opened the photos. These are from your credit card statements, I said. Hotel bookings, restaurant charges, all on days when you told me you were working late or out with Michelle. Her face went carefully blank. What are you doing? This is your notebook, the one in your nightstand. Dates, times, initials. LP 17 entries. I swiped to the next photo. This is Logan Pike's business card. Found it in the kitchen junk drawer. His handwriting on the back. I kept swiping. This is a receipt from a pharmacy 2 towns over. Same afternoon you said you were working on a presentation. Silas. This is a jacket, men's large, not mine, found it in the laundry room. Stop. And this, I said, pulling up the final photo, is your neighbor Caleb Moore. He told me Logan's car has been parked here overnight, multiple times, while I was working late shifts. Marissa's face had gone white. You've been spying on me? I've been paying attention, I said. Should have started months ago. She stepped back, reached for her wine glass. Her hand shook slightly. This isn't what you think. Then what is it? It's complicated. Try me. She took a drink, set the glass down. When she spoke again, her voice had shifted into her professional mode, calm, controlled, managing a crisis. Logan and I are colleagues. We've worked on some projects together. Yes, we've had dinners. Yes, we've spent time together. But you're making it sound like an affair? I said. That's what it's called when a married woman sleeps with someone who isn't her husband. I held up the phone. 17 entries, hotel rooms, his place, your car and parking garages. Should I read them out loud? She said nothing. I talked to him, I said, 3 weeks ago. Had lunch with him. Nice guy, charming. Told me about his divorce, how his ex-wife wanted someone different. How he's free now, no obligations, no expectations. Marissa's eyes widened. You did what? Became his consultant. Fixed his generator problem. We've been working together. He has no idea who I am. You never mentioned you were married, did you? Silas, this is insane. No, this is precise. I put my phone away. You wanted someone different. You got him. But you kept me around as a backup plan. A safe option in case Logan didn't work out. You told your family I was traveling. Told your neighbors I was away on business. Erased me from your life while still living in my house, spending my money, wearing my ring. That's not... I filed for divorce yesterday, I said. Papers will be served to you within 72 hours. I'm claiming half the house, half the savings, and I'm requesting alimony based on the income disparity between us. Her mouth opened, closed. You can't. I can. And I did. Your affair is documented. I have evidence, witnesses, timestamps, everything a court needs to see exactly what you've been doing. Silas, please, let's talk about this rationally. We're past that, I said. Way past that. I walked toward the door. Wait. Her voice cracked. What about Logan? I stopped, turned back. What about him? Did you tell him? I smiled, first time in weeks. Not yet, I said, but I will eventually, when the time is right. Her face went even paler. Silas, please, don't do this. You did this, I said. I'm just making sure everyone knows. I walked out, got in my truck, drove away. Behind me, I heard her start to cry. I felt nothing. 2 days later, Marissa was served with divorce papers at her office. 3 days after that, Logan's investor group pulled out of his development project. I'd called them anonymously, mentioned the code violations, the red tag, the cost overruns, the delays, mentioned that the project manager might have credibility issues, didn't elaborate, didn't need to. The investors did their own research, found the violations, found Logan's history of cutting corners, walked away from the deal. Logan called me that evening. Silas, you hear what happened? With the investors? Yeah, they're gone. Whole project's collapsing. I'm ruined. I'm sorry, man. I don't understand it. Everything was fine. Then suddenly, it's like someone targeted me. Maybe just bad luck, I said. Maybe. He sighed, long and tired. I've got to go. Got some things to figure out. Good luck, I said. Thanks, I'll need it. He ended the call. I sat there for a long time, thinking about Marissa's face when she realized I knew, thinking about Logan's voice when his world started crumbling, thinking about the quiet satisfaction of watching them both lose things they'd taken for granted. My phone buzzed. Text from Marissa. I'm staying at my parents'. We need to discuss the divorce terms. My lawyer says you're being unreasonable. I didn't respond. Another text. Silas, please. We can work this out. I blocked her number. Then I called my divorce attorney. How fast can we move this forward? I asked. If she doesn't contest, maybe 4 months. She'll contest. Then 8 to 12, maybe longer if she's difficult. She will be, I said. We'll be ready. I hung up, looked out Dana's window at the street below. Normal people living normal lives, going to work, coming home, trusting each other. I used to be one of them, not anymore. Now I was something else, something colder, something that had learned exactly how much damage you could do when people underestimated you. Marissa thought she could erase me. Logan thought he was untouchable. They were both wrong. And I was just getting started. 3 weeks passed. Logan's development project officially collapsed. Investors filed suit against him for mismanagement. His business reputation tanked. Other projects started falling apart as partners backed away. Marissa's family learned about the divorce, about Logan, about everything. Her mother called me once. I didn't answer. Her brother Tyler left a voicemail. Said he was sorry. Said he wished he'd known. Said he should have invited me to the party. I deleted it. Dana asked me once if I felt better now that everything was out in the open. I told her I felt correct. That was the right word. Not happy, not satisfied, just correct. Like I'd fixed something that was broken, restored a system to its proper functioning state, made the numbers add up. The divorce moved forward, slowly, painfully. Marissa fought every point, contested every asset, made it as difficult as possible. Her lawyer sent threatening letters, talked about my harassment of Logan, implied I'd committed fraud by consulting under false pretenses. My lawyer laughed at that one. Let them try to prove it, she said. You never lied about your credentials. You never sabotaged his project directly. You just happened to notice violations and report them. That's civic duty. Exactly, I said. But Marissa's family was where the real damage happened. Her father called off their relationship, told her she'd embarrassed them, told her she'd destroyed her own marriage and made a fool of herself with a man who'd been using her. Logan had moved on quickly, started seeing someone new within 2 weeks of his business collapsing. Marissa found out through social media. She called me then. Somehow got around the block. I answered. You did this, she said, voice shaking. You destroyed everything. No, I said. You did that. I just made sure people could see it clearly. I hate you. I know. I hope you're happy. I'm not, I said. But I'm done being invisible. I ended the call, blocked her again, sat in the quiet of Dana's guest room and listened to the silence. It felt appropriate. 4 months after I walked out, the divorce was finalized. I got half the house, half the savings. No alimony, but Marissa had to buy me out of my portion of the property. She couldn't afford it. Had to sell, lost money on the sale. Moved into a smaller apartment across town. Logan's business never recovered. Last I heard, he'd left town entirely, moved to another state, started over with a different company. Marissa worked at the same firm, but her reputation had taken a hit. People knew. They talked. She'd managed communications for corporate clients her entire career. Couldn't manage her own story when it mattered most. I moved into a small townhouse 20 minutes from the medical complex. Started over. Different space, different life, same job, same routines. But I was different. Colder, harder, less willing to pretend things were fine when they weren't. Dana noticed. You okay? She asked one evening over coffee. Yeah, I said. You seem different. I am. Better or worse? I thought about that. Honest, I said finally. I'm more honest now. She nodded slowly. Just don't lose yourself completely, Silas. There's a difference between being honest and being cold. I'll keep that in mind, I said. But I wasn't sure I would. Because cold worked. Cold got results. Cold meant nobody could hurt you again. 6 months after everything ended, I was at a coffee shop when I saw them, Marissa and Logan, together, sitting at a corner table, talking quietly, her hand on his arm. I stood there with my coffee, watching them. Logan looked different, tired, worn down, like someone who'd lost something important and couldn't get it back. Marissa looked desperate, leaning too close, smiling too hard, trying to recapture something that had never been real. They didn't see me. I could have walked over, said something, made it awkward,